Hi folks, G3 here, and welcome to another instalment of my journey to go green. Today's episode is another one of my gardening updates. First job that I'm going to be doing is I have some tulip bulbs here. These are from last year where we planted them. We've been storing them away in a dark place, but they have started sprouting. We're rather late getting out and doing bits and pieces because the weather wasn't particularly brilliant in February, so I haven't gone and planted these up yet. But what I'm going to do is I've got a pot, I've got some compost. I'm going to be using the Lasagne technique for putting these in. So basically what that means is layers. I'm going to do layers of bulbs. So from the bottom I'll put a few in there, I'll put some compost on, then do another layer of the bulbs and keep going like that. So that's what we're going to do now. First up I'm going to put some crocks in the bottom. Now what this is, they are broken bits of pots and tiles and things, and the idea being is that you just want to create a little bit of a cover for the hole at the bottom so that you're not losing the compost out the bottom, and it will allow better drainage. So I'm going to put those in first. This compost isn't particularly the best, although it is a peat-free compost. It's got quite a bit of woody material in it usually. There's some quite big lumps in here, and I've not found it the best over the last couple of years, so I'm going to stop using it. And what I've done, I've gone and purchased some organic compost, some Melcourt compost, and I've made a video about that because it's using a bag for life system, so I'll include a link to the video up here so you can get organic compost using a bag for life system, so you're not having these plastic bags, which is great. So check that video out. But I'm going to be putting a little bit of this compost that I'm using up. I won't be getting any more. I'll put a bit of this at the bottom. I've got a lot of bulbs to fit in, so I can be a little bit generous with how many I'm putting in there. And these tulips, they don't fare too well over time. You can't expect them to last year after year. They will start deteriorating, and the quality won't be so good. So it's worth putting a few in just to make sure that you are getting a good display at least, and that some of them will survive. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking some of the bulbs and nestling those into the soil as they are at the moment, and I will put another layer over the top there. So there we go, I've got a layer of some of the bigger bulbs I've put in the bottom, and now all I'm going to be doing is just putting some compost on top of them. So I'll be covering this entire layer with enough compost that I can then put some more bulbs on top of that. So there we go, that's the first layer done. So I'm going to put some more bulbs in on top. Got a variety of different tulip bulbs, so it's going to be a bit of a lottery as to what does come up this year, but it'll be interesting to watch. And repeat the process with more compost on top. There we go, that's all the layers built up and the compost on top. That's great. What I will do now is I'll move it into its final position and I'll give it a little water. The reason behind that, although this is quite moist at the moment, it will help the compost settle down and make sure that any pockets are sort of settled, and just get it in a good place to start growing. Okay, this is where I'm going to put the pot, and what I've got is some pot feet here. They're little bits of clay that have been modelled to help lift a pot off the ground, and what this does is it allows it to drain better because the drainage hole will be lifted off the ground. So I'm just going to place these down in approximate position for the edge of the pot so that it can sit on there and support it. So I'm going to carefully lift the pot on and just make sure that the feet are positioned around the outside of the pot, giving it support in the third quadrants. There we go. That's good. Right, final job, just to give it that little water. And just giving it a little soak from the top just to help settle that down. Excellent. First job done. On to the next one. Next job I'm doing is potting up some strawberry plants. I've been doing a bit of weeding in one of the beds where the strawberries were, and I've got some plants that have taken. So from the runners that were sent out, they have been able to root and establish over winter. So I've quickly gone and brought these up here, and I'm now going to pot them up before they start drying out. The first thing I'm going to do is just trim off the dead sucker wood and some dead leaves, so that for each plant I'm just left with the plant here. Now the reason for potting these up is I haven't fully weeded the strawberry area yet. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to be able to put these, position them, so I'd much rather grow them on in a pot for the time being, so that they've got an opportunity to thrive, and then I can place them where I need them in the garden at the right point. All I'm going to be doing is putting these in an appropriate sized pot to allow them long enough time to grow sufficiently, and we'll leave those outside so they can take advantage of the warmth and any rain that comes along, and they'll grow naturally until I'm ready to place them in my strawberry bed. That's the beautiful thing about strawberries, is that they're able to easily send out new plants and grow on for you. So even if the original ones aren't doing particularly well, you will hopefully get some decent runners and plants growing. You don't want to leave them where they go normally, because they'll be sort of in close proximity to existing plants. They're not in the best place for good plant health, so it just makes sense to move them and establish them elsewhere. Now this is a great growing tray that I've got here. I can just put soil compost on here to pot in easily. It's very straightforward, and it was made from recycled plastic. I'm just firming it down a little bit. There we go, that's the first one done. This compost, where it's been sitting in the bag over winter, is quite moist already. I will give it a very tiny little water just to help the compost settle, but it doesn't need it from a watering point of view, and these will be good to leave outside to grow and then replant. So I'll carry on with the others. They're all potted, so I'm just going to give them a little water just to bed them in. There we go, that'll help the soil settle. On to the next task now. The final job I've got this week is planting the garlic. Now you remember that a few weeks back I planted the bulbs, and I've been keeping these in the greenhouse to start growing. They've grown quite well. Some of them have been a bit stunted, but others have grown quite well. It's now time for me to get them into this bed that I've just cleared, that I did have butternut squash in last year. Garlic likes well-drained soil with full sun. It shouldn't be grown in the same plot for 3 or 4 years because of soil-borne issues, so you're going to avoid having problems there if you rotate and put it in different places, which is why I'm using this bed. I haven't gone and put any additional compost in here. According to the instructions on the label, they need to be 4 inches or 10 centimeters apart in their rows. I'll start from this end. I'm going to put some rows in so I know where they're going to go. So let's see how many we've got first off. 17, 18, 19, 20. 21 that have got shoots. There are 2 or 3 that haven't got shoots. I will plant them, but I don't expect them to do anything great. But I will make sure that the ones that are flourishing are in a prime position here, so they've got plenty of space and light, and they're going to do best. So I think we'll probably go with 3 rows of 7, but let's just see with the spacing. I've got this handy little device here that allows me to mark out rows It's not really essential on something like this, but it helps sort of keep straight rows on things that you want to. I don't want to get too close to the strawberry bed, just so we're not encroaching on that, and it gives me a little bit of space to get a good crop of strawberries there. I've got a dibber that allows me to push into the soil to a certain depth. It's graduated here with markings so I can see where it's to go. I've got these flexible trays I can just push them out from. Now this isn't great compost that's used here, it's breaking off quite a bit, so I think I'm going to have to try and ease them out. Good roots, good set of roots there, but the compost has come off from all around them. That's not great, and that's because of the quality of the compost I've got here. So say, I have got a different one this time. I've got some organic compost from Melcourt that I'll be using for my seedlings. Right, and I can just use my fingers to ease it around and push that in. So the roots are in there, have that poking through. There we go. First one in. And I'm just pushing it down around the soil a little bit just to ease it in, but not too strongly. Okay, I'm going to carry on and get these rows finished. There we go, we've got the rows of garlic in. 3 individual rows, and I've got the better ones up this end. The smaller ones will hopefully take, but I'm not quite so sure about those. And at least I'm giving the best chance to the ones that have the best growth so far. And the fact we started them off in the containers initially has helped them establish before I've put them in, so it's reducing the risk of birds coming along, unearthing them, causing problems through that. And they've got good root systems to grow in, so hopefully these will take, and we'll get some good garlic to harvest towards the end of the year. There we go, folks. That's what I've been working on this week for my gardening tasks. I've gone and potted up some tulips that were already sprouting, the bulbs from last year. I've also gone and potted up some strawberry runners that had grown in this plot where I'd weeded and removed those, and I've planted them in pots to hopefully get those to bed in, so that when they've established a bit more, I'm going to be able to put them into a better position in here. And finally, I've gone and planted the garlic that we started off a number of weeks back within the containers. Well, there we go, folks. That's what I've been working on with this week's gardening update. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, then please click the like button down below. And of course, please leave comments. Let me know what you've been working on, whether you found this useful, whether you've done something slightly different to me. It'd be great to hear from you. And finally, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you get notified when I load up a new video. Well, until next time, bye.